Today we got a special guest. It's Susan M., who is an immigration lawyer. She is the head of a firm called M Law, based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And not coincidentally, she is my friend of decades now. I guess we're aging ourselves soon. to say we've known each other for decades tells you that we're not children anymore, I guess. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it goes back to U of M days because your sister is a good friend of mine.
That's right. And actually, I think that in fact, our parents knew each other before we knew each other.
They did. Yeah,
I think that's
I'm pretty sure. Like the Korean network in the state of Michigan.
In the state of Michigan. But now we're all grown up, or at least you are. And, and now you're the head of a firm called M Law. How long have you been in existence?
So M Law has been in existence since January of 2011.
Okay.
So when we officially launched it. And before that, I was with a variety of different firms, big and small. But M Law was birthed in January of 2011.
Your specialty, your area of expertise is specifically, immigration law. Is that right?
That is correct. That's all we do is inbound U.S. immigration law. So I usually tell people I'm an immigration geek and I'm not really good for much more. So when they want to ask me questions about family law or contracts, real estate, corporate merger acquisitions, I'm no good.
But on immigration law,
we know what we're doing.
Gotcha. So generally speaking, why don't you tell us about immigration law in the sense that, we have other areas of law, elder law, estate planning. We had an elder law attorney, last time here on, this channel. Seems like the laws might be different, meaning that different in scope and scale. Is this a national set of, requirements and regulations, or is it state specific? How does that work out?
So U.S. immigration law, Jay, is it's governed by federal law.
Okay.
So it is not governed by states, individual states. It's federal immigration law. So for us, we can represent clients from throughout the nation and really around the world. We're not limited to clients only in the state of Michigan. We do have to be licensed in a state, and there are other considerations, but yes, federal immigration law.
Federal immigration law. And now, is this largely as a result of, or meaning that literally today I received an email, and we're going to return back to immigration law in just a few moments, but really talking about going across borders. And now we have, we live in a world of pandemic, one that doesn't seem like it's going to fade away. It's not going to magically disappear. Somebody tried to tell us this, a little bit ago, not very long ago, that it would just magically disappear. Pandemic actually isn't. Is crossing state borders in a COVID world different than prior to COVID? I mean, are there other restrictions? I mean, you got to have a passport, obviously, but, I'm hearing that even if I want to travel for leisure, or is this completely different from anything that you deal with?
Are you talking about state to state within the United States? Or are you talking about?
No, internationally.
Great. So I was wondering, Jay, why are you asking me that? Yes, we can talk about that. Travel has been drastically affected by the COVID pandemic.
Okay.
It affects virtually all of our clients, especially because we represent multinational companies who have foreign national employees that are either outside the United States and need to get back to work in the U.S., or they are in the U.S. and need to travel to the parent company abroad, or need to travel abroad for personal reasons, maybe because the pandemic has kept them from seeing family or going to significant family events. And so how it has been, how the pandemic has affected international travel is really the result of travel bans put into effect largely by the Trump administration, but some of the travel bans continued by the Biden administration based on the pandemic. And so we're talking about the Schengen area, Jay. We're talking about the UK, Ireland, China, Iran, Brazil, South Africa. If an individual, a foreign national, has been present in one of those areas in the last 14 days, they can't enter the U.S. Unless they are granted what's known as a national interest exception, or they fall under an exemption of that travel ban. They're a spouse of a U.S. citizen, for instance, or a child of a U.S. citizen.
So let me ask you there, just so that's inbound from a foreign country into the United States, based on where they originated, there could be a restriction, basically, is what sounds like.
That's right. If you were physically present in one of those areas that I described, even if you're not a citizen or national of one of those countries, you're banned from coming in the U.S. unless you fall under an exception or you get a national interest exception. So there are certain exemptions to the bans, and then there's something called a national interest exception that you can apply for with the U.S. consulate abroad. And sometimes they grant them, sometimes they don't.
So what if they're a U.S. citizen? So now I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm always curious about this. You're a U.S. citizen.
You're fine, Jay. You and I, we're fine because we're U.S. citizens. You're a U.S. citizen or green card holder. You're exempt from these travel bans. But if you're a foreign national that isn't covered by one of the exemptions or doesn't get a national interest exception, you cannot enter the country at this time. There is something else you can do, and we have advised some clients to do this who just don't have the time to wait to try to go through a national interest exception process that we assist clients with regularly, is you can go to a non-banned country like Mexico or Turkey and stay there for a minimum of 14 days and then travel to the United States, because now you get around having been present for 14 days in one of the banned countries. So basically take a trip to Mexico.
What about the other way around? So now you want to go to another country. You're from the United States. And for whatever reason, you go there. Are there travel restrictions for us now? I mean, I heard Canada just opened its borders, for car travel, the other day. But if you wanted to travel to another country, let's just call it Turkey, just for example, have those countries, as far as you know, or have they asked you, those individuals or companies asked you, okay, what are their employees or individuals supposed to do in preparation for that kind of travel if you're from the United States and going to another country?
Yeah, so we have not gotten involved with that, because then it would involve having to know foreign countries' immigration laws, and we are only U.S. inbound immigration experts. So what I could share with you would only be colloquial, like what we've learned kind of just hearing from clients. For instance, it's a nightmare apparently to go to Australia right now. There are very strict quarantine requirements, and it's a nightmare trying to get out of Australia. Heard similar about New Zealand, and I think there are other countries to add to that list, but it's not part of U.S. immigration law, so we don't give advice on that.
How worried are you? Because ultimately your client is really the employer, right? I mean, the employer's, retaining you to help, with new employee X, and they come into the United States, they go back home, and then pandemic rages, or, there's another, uptick in cases, et cetera, and new restrictions get erected. How worried is Susan, I guess I should say, how worried is Susan about this or those types of scenarios today?
Yeah, we're always concerned. We're always concerned. I try not to worry, but I definitely get concerned because it's not going away anytime soon. This, with the rise of the Delta variant and whatnot, we had hoped that by now the travel bans for the UK, for instance, we've got a lot of executives coming from UK,
Sure.
executives and other foreign national valued employees coming from Germany, and we would have thought that by now the bans might be lifted, and we sort of hoped that the Biden administration would have done that, but because of the concern of COVID and the Delta variant, those bans remain in place. So yeah, it's concerning that there could be additional countries added. India was added fairly recently because of the spikes there. So I mean, we're always concerned about it. We're always monitoring to see, okay, what are the developments that are taking place? But then our job, Jay, is to try to find solutions. So we can't control any of it.
Right, that's true.
So, but what we can control is, okay, how can we try to get that person here? They're covered by the ban. What are the options? What are the relevant questions to ask the client? Could they possibly qualify for a national interest exception? Are they, an executive that's providing vital support to a critical infrastructure sector? Or are they a foreign national that's maybe providing executive direction that for significant economic activity in the U.S.? That's something that could potentially qualify as a national interest exception. And there are sometimes some surprising occupations that we've gotten approved for national interest exceptions. It's not just the top executives.
Interesting. So you've touched in on, a number of countries, and if I back up, or if you will, just change our focus slightly, generally speaking, as far as you can tell, it's kind of strange, right? Because we've had both an executive branch change, as well as, at the same time as a pandemic. So I'm trying to separate out the two. We've talked about the pandemic, and, it's a quite specific type of, ripple effects, if you will.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if we did not have the pandemic, and we do, so I know it's, a little bit difficult to tell, but from your perspective, your, legal perspective, has the environment for, immigration into the United States for employees of these companies in these countries, has it gotten any easier?
Yeah, that's a great question. Setting aside the travel bans that have not gone away with the Biden administration,
right,
and the fact that we have to apply for these challenging national interest exceptions still, setting that aside, has it gotten easier? I would say it has not gotten a lot easier yet. The climate at USCIS, which is the agency that decides work visa petitions and green card applications, a lot of reasons why it hasn't gotten easier. Some of it related to the pandemic. Processing backlogs are still awful. You don't even want to know what some of the processing and waiting times are for folks who are waiting either for an employment-based green card or family-based green card process to come to fruition. And if they're outside the country, they could be waiting 2-3 years for an interview at a U.S. consulate.
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years for an interview because of the largely COVID-related impacts on getting interviews scheduled. But that aside, just the climate for adjudicating business-based petitions, there have been some policies that have been put in place by Biden that we welcome, but it's not a drastic change yet. It's not, poof, overnight, all our problems are solved. All the frustrations that we've had with USCIS have completely, been eliminated. Nothing like that. But I guess if I was to look on the positive side, some of the policies that are very good that the Biden administration has put into place or reinstated. For instance, we used to have, Jay, a deference policy, a deference memorandum.
What does that mean?
It basically directed the agency that if it had approved an application for that particular employer, let's just say it's an employer-based petition, the past and approved it. And now you're filing for an extension of that employer's the work visa status for that employer's foreign national employee. The agency should give some deference to the prior approval, because under the Trump administration, it completely eliminated the deference memo.
So you would have to start over, or?
You still have to file a petition, but now USCIS has to give some deference, pay attention to the fact that it did approve that individual in the past, as opposed to under the Trump administration, when the deference memo was taken away, they didn't have to give any, there was just no deference given to the prior approval. There was no benefit to that employer having received an approval for that employee in the past, especially if facts have largely unchanged. The law has not changed. Why on earth would the agency not give some deference to the fact? It doesn't mean it's a rubber stamp, but so that is a positive change. The Biden administration has brought back deference memo. There have been a couple of other things in the business immigration arena. We had a memorandum that basically clarified certain occupations qualified for H-1B status, which is one of the most popular work visas.
For people like me, who know very little, H-1B.
Yes, it's an H-1B. Sure. So I know it sounds like a virus. It's not. It is a work visa status for professionals where the employer is offering a position that requires the minimum of a bachelor's degree or higher in a specific field or fields of study. And then the foreign national must possess that particular degree in those specific fields. There's a few other requirements. There's wage requirements, Jay. I won't go into too much detail, but essentially under the Trump administration, President Trump issued an executive order. We call it BAHA. That was the acronym. But essentially it was, that stood for Buy American, Hire American. And the whole point of the memo was, under the guise of protecting U.S. workers, was to really try to target the H-1B visa program and make it extremely difficult for employers to be able to access H-1B foreign national workers. And it did the job. There was a huge spike in the number of denials of H-1Bs when BAHA, that executive order, was issued. There was a dramatic increase in requests for evidence. Those are thorns in the side of immigration professionals. We hate requests for evidence. It's essentially the agency saying, we see what you submitted and we don't think it's good enough. Please prove to us why you think this petition should be approved. We don't think it's an H-1B specialty occupation. We don't think you're paying the foreign national enough. All sorts of things. And so huge impact of President Trump's executive order, the BAHA executive order, on the H-1B program. Companies like Microsoft and companies like Google, they rely on the H-1B program because they hire U.S. workers, right? We know this, but then they have other needs. They have to supplement with the immigration, the H-1B program, and then we have the clients we represent, same thing. Sure. They largely turn to U.S. immigration to help supplement the workforce because they can't hire enough U.S. workers to fill the positions that they have open.
Is it your view, and you're seeing one particular perspective here, and we see these, especially in today's day and age, where while employment isn't as high a level as it was prior to the pandemic, we still have help wanted for this, that, and the other, everywhere, it seems like. For the persons looking for the highly skilled class of persons that you're kind of referring to sponsored by their employers, is that much different from Susan's chair 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Is it different today?
So you're saying, is the demand for these workers different?
Exactly. Is the demand larger, smaller? Has anything really changed, or just the way that it gets administered, kind of has been changed and moved around a bit? Just curious.
That's a great question. I mean, we have certainly grown, and we're fortunate, definitely blessed to have grown during the pandemic, and that is largely because the clients, and we have one particular client that got busier during the pandemic and continues to be busier. And there were a lot of factors. It wasn't really just the pandemic that caused a boost in their particular business. They were already on that trajectory, that upward trajectory, if you will. But I would say that part of it is we're busier because we've grown. Part of it is the particular clients that we have. I think that certain clients in the healthcare sector and clients in certain manufacturing sectors, especially those that need the engineers, right? The various type of software developers, the various type of robotics engineers, and various types of manufacturing engineers that they need to continue to grow their business. They're hiring, all the STEMs graduating from U.S. colleges, universities that they can, but they're competing, right, with other companies for these
Sure.
grads. And so, yeah, I feel like there are a lot of factors that have contributed to why it feels busier now. I think you raise a really good point, Jay, that it also feels busier because the USCIS created more busy work for us.
Okay.
Right? They created more busy work by issuing, more requests for evidence, despite submissions being fairly thorough, not just from law firms like us, but from law firms nationwide. USCIS just creating busy work, partly as a result of those policies that were in place under the Trump administration, some of them taken away by Biden, some of them still in place, right? And then the busy work of, oh my gosh, they need this executive here yesterday. And where's the executive? Of course, in one of the banned countries. And so we're doing a lot of national interest exception applications and arguments with U.S. consulates abroad. And that is fairly time consuming, and a lot of calls and advising clients on these kind of emergency situations. So it's kind of hard to separate, but definitely I think it seems like the employers we're all working with are growing and busy. So that's a wonderful thing. And I think a lot of them turn to the U.S. immigration system to supplement their workforce. We don't represent any of those Indian consulting companies where their majority of their workforce is foreign nationals. We don't have any clients like that. All of our employers have majority U.S. workforce, and they're supplementing their workforce with foreign national employees.
So it really sounds like it's on the demand side for those types of employees that really continues to go on and
Yes.
and part of where I'm going here, Sue, is that, or Susan, I'll probably never be able to actually correctly, properly call you Susan. You'll always be Sue, sorry. But, it'd be convenient, easy to just simply say, well, it's, this administration's or some type of political matter, but it sounds like, and don't let me, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like actually there's underlying demand for this particular class of citizens with this particular set of qualifications. And is it your view that, and you get this, kind of talk at bars or whatever it would be, overly political, conversations that, well, it's because somebody's coming in here illegally and taking away a job from a U.S. citizen. But your experience, your slice of the world, Susan's slice of the world, doesn't sound like that, like at all, unless I'm wildly wrong.
Not at all. I mean, I think and like you said, it's those conversations in bars. It's conversations on soccer sidelines. I've had, where someone discovers I'm an immigration lawyer and they just have a couple of things to say to me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So sometimes they're pleasant and it's fine, and other times it's not pleasant because they definitely don't want to hear what I have to say, and yet it's what we do every day. So
okay, I'm not going to let you off the hook.
Right?
We're going to get to that.
Yeah. So with regard to to that, definitely our experience. I mean, we have employers. Why on earth? This is what I would tell these people. Why on earth would employers want to pay us our fees and government fees, which are thousands of dollars. The government filing fees are thousands of dollars. Why on earth would any company willingly want to add to their budget if they didn't need these workers, if they didn't need to access this foreign talent? Why on earth? And I had a healthcare client, and specifically a physical therapy recruiting company, that VP of HR, came in and said to me, well, we've got less than a 1% unemployment rate. Less than 1% unemployment rate for physical therapists.
Sector, right.
It is not good for them because, of course, the physical therapists graduating from U.S. Universities can have their pick of where they want to go. And so this particular client had openings, has a need to fill positions that are in rural areas or northern Michigan, maybe not desirable urban places that a lot of the grads want to be in. And surprise, surprise, U.S. grads don't want to go to those rural places. They don't want to go, and they have sort of their pick of the lots. So yeah, I mean, my experience has been they don't contact us unless they do have a valued foreign national employee they want to retain for good reason.
It is so interesting that you actually, because of course, me, everyday person, didn't really think of, oh yeah, the extra cost and effort that the employer, they've got to pay your bill.
That's right. We don't do it for free. So unfortunately, they have to budget that. And I ask you, why on earth would an employer want to budget?
It's so interesting.
Thousands of dollars to an attorney and thousands of dollars to a government entity, sometimes every time without guarantee of an approval, right? Or with the H-1B, it's a lottery process.
Sure.
There were over 300,000 H-1B foreign national beneficiaries vying for a maximum of 85,000 slots. Those are not good odds. Why on earth would they want to pay counsel and deal with those kind of odds if they didn't really need to retain these people?
It's pretty interesting because, you just used your common sense, and the same thing happens to me all the time, which is somebody says, well, insurance companies are colluding. I'm like, okay, we have 5 insurance companies with equally smart people and it's a price tie. How is it possible that it could possibly be collusion? Meaning that, you just infuse one little droplet of common sense that you just did. And all of a sudden, like the soccer sideline, objection totally gets blown up. It's like, this is now it's like completely nonsensical. Like, I'm sure that you get lots of these kind of like offhand comments, like you said, like, at the bar about, such a hot button topic that, somebody from another country is here illegally and then taking away benefits, et cetera, and other things from the, federal budget that, that an American citizen is, certainly entitled to, and that kind of thing. But, your particular part of the world is, very, so different.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's the one that I usually like to raise because it hits home. It's money, so people can relate to that.
Sure.
But I think there are other really good arguments that you may have heard about, Jay, like that foreign nationals start companies and create U.S. jobs. The founder of Google, right? That so many immigrants have been entrepreneurs, started companies, created U.S. jobs. And then there's the argument that STEM workers create U.S. jobs. I can think of someone that became a permanent resident fairly recently, worked for one of the well-known nonprofit research organizations in town. And now he's spun off because he's a green card holder in Ken and has a startup where he is moving to clinical trials for a new way of detecting cancer and treating it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. He's literally working to save lives, and he's so passionate, he can't wait till he can get to the clinical trial so he can start saving lives like now. And some of the things that he's developed, they're already working on in Europe, in Germany, because they're probably different protocols, and doctors employing some of these new techniques. And that's just fascinating to me. But that is exactly the reason why these immigrants need to stay, right? They're not only just creating jobs, and of course, there's money involved with his startup, right? And there are lots of people with big money very interested in what he's developed and have been investing in his particular project. But he's the poster child of the kind of immigrant you want to keep in the country, and you don't want to subject him to multiple year backlogs where he gets so frustrated he leaves and goes to another country and I've had the benefit of his knowledge.
I've had this exact statement with other people that, more highly educated than myself, which is, there's no country like the United States if you're that excellent, right? I mean, if you're that excellent that you want to put your stake in the ground, whatever it is, and it doesn't even matter what the field is, but, if in your particular instance, if they're that special, that there's no better location for the platform for the different, whether that be access to capital, and then also, in addition to bouncing off ideas and being able to grow that kind of, product or whatever that business line innovation would be, than this country. So, and of course, you and I are going to be specifically biased. I mean, we, our parents, both of our parents, sets of parents, immigrants to this country, and things like that. So what else, if I had to step back yet again, or shift gears slightly here, anything, overly optimistic or pessimistic that Susan is in your area of immigration, that, we're going to have these foreign, are most of these companies then, what about like foreign companies being your client? Is that big amount of time used at ImLaw, or is that not, or is there no real way to kind of generalize?
Well, the foreign companies do get involved with, so we have, usually our clients are the US employers, but maybe they want to bring over a manager, executive, or other type of employee from a parent or affiliate or a subsidiary abroad. And that's how we get involved typically with foreign companies. But every once in a while we are contacted by, the foreign entrepreneur that started a company and has a very successful company abroad and wants to open up a new office in the US. So investors oftentimes. So then we're looking at either investor visas, or we're looking at a transfer visa of a manager or an executive over to a new office where they're going to be hiring new employees and managing and doing executive things here. So that's how we usually get involved. But I would say that's rarer than the US employer finding us, hiring us, and then we get to know the foreign entity. What
happens when a foreign company, because I see that, like, if I thought and put your thinking, just logical hat on, capital moving around the globe, incubators, the SoftBanks of the world, creating companies in different locations and then expanding, for example, that, this is a possibility for you. Do you work with other law firms that are connected with them, or is it just generally, okay, just one law firm and then kind of on your own, and then you go about your business?
That's a really good question. No, we refer to other experts, other attorneys that are licensed in those various countries. So for instance, if someone has an Italian immigration issue, we've got a go-to person that we connect our employer client with, or if it's Germany, if it's Canada. It's always best, in our opinion, to put them in touch with a licensed attorney in that jurisdiction, kind of like US immigration law. If someone was looking for an immigration lawyer, you want to make sure that they're actually licensed, able to do what they're able to give legal advice under the laws of their jurisdiction. So we have a network of people and attorneys that we connect our clients with.
I don't have anything else, Sue. Tell us how we're supposed to get a hold of you and all that good stuff. And all your information will, of course, be in the text below the video and in the podcast, when it gets released. But tell us about how they're supposed to get a hold of you and all that type of good stuff.
Sure. So probably the easiest way is you can visit our website. It's imlaw.biz that you see at the bottom. And you can email us directly from there. You can call us. You can also find us on social media. Imlaw is live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Anything else?
So we're way ahead of me. So I'll have to figure. I'm still no good at any of that stuff. So
it's fairly new, so don't be that impressed. But we started off, and then I ended up hiring a marketing company to help me out. So and they largely come to me for content, but they are the ones that put it out there, which is nice.
There's a couple of other attorneys, is that right? That work for you?
Yes, it's me. We have another attorney, Brian Mick, who's been with me a very long time. He's excellent. And then we're about to hire another very seasoned employment-based immigration attorney. She will work remotely for us, but she's somebody that I've known a long time, and I will wait to disclose her name until she's officially with us on September 1. And then we also have a paralegal, Jesse Zamudio. We have a senior legal assistant, Dominic Baroni, and we have a legal assistant, Nirma Hasovich, and an accounting billing specialist, Lito Esquivel. So we are 6 strong, and we love what we do.
Thanks so much, Sue. And by the way, can you help out our football team? You can send somebody some cash for the likeness, because I think we're going to be in trouble for quite.
Michigan football has been sucking.
I think we're in trouble for the foreseeable future.
That's probably why I haven't been watching. Honestly, I've been watching more soccer. That's what my boys play, and I haven't really watched. I haven't really paid attention. Have we been doing really badly?
And now since the players get paid, I'm not sure if there's any way out of this unless somebody opens their checkbook to the players, but we'll have to. All right, Sue, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you. Thanks. That's it for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you can be told when new videos are posted. Last, don't forget about GH2 Unfiltered. I'll send you a free copy of Maximize Your Medicare to first-time subscribers. That's at www.gh2unfiltered.com, where you can get my subscription site, comments that I can't release to people in public, here on the YouTube channel. Thanks.